take parking.
Of course, park over there or
Yeah.
whatever. Otherwise, I would just park over here. Park right there.
I
Right
could
there.
park here.
Okay, just park over here.
Why not?
So now we've exited Costa Rica and we're entering into Panama. As you can see, it's a little busy down here usually. But yeah, so we're going into Panama. And this is Panama. So you want to go to the right. Let's go, Pape. Hey guys, so today I wanted to discuss border runs and specifically go over what are they, what kind of visa you have, where they are, and what you'll need. And then I have a few tips on how to get there and some other comments just about my own experience doing a border run. So a border run is when you come into Costa Rica, you will be given a 90-day visa, typically. It could, I guess really the immigration officer can give you any days, but the max is 90 days on a tourist visa. So what a lot of people do if they're living down here on a tourist visa is they'll do what's called a border run. So that's whenever you either cross the Panama or Nicaragua border, you go across, you get stamped out of Costa Rica before your 90 days, you leave, and you get an entry stamp into Nicaragua or Panama, and then you will exit Nicaragua and Panama and come back into Costa Rica, renewing your tourist visa for another 90 days. But again, it could be less. Typically it'll be 90 days, but everyone has different experiences. So personally, I've always had the 90 days, which has been great. But everyone could have a different experience. It just depends. So yeah, when you come in to the airport, so let's say when you're flying into Costa Rica, you will get a tourist visa. Super important note that I definitely want to mention is that when you come in, they can ask you for a proof of exit that you're leaving Costa Rica. So they might ask you for a flight ticket out of Costa Rica when you enter, even in through the airport. There's been times where I have not been asked for this, but there have been other times where I have been. So usually what I'll do is I will reserve a ticket, whether it's on Expedia with the 24-hour free cancel, or I think someone told me, don't quote me on this, maybe it was American Airlines. I think you can put a ticket on hold and not actually put a credit card information down. So just in case you were to forget, it'll just automatically cancel. So yeah, that's a pretty important thing, because otherwise they will, let's say if you're at the immigration counter and they are asking, then you don't have it, then they could make you buy one on the spot, make you buy a ticket to show that you're actually leaving Costa Rica before your 90 days is up. So it's pretty important to make sure that you have that covered before you go to the airport to come into the country. Let's see, so this video is about border runs, just going over the border and coming back in, not about traveling through if you're going from Nicaragua to Costa Rica to Panama. Maybe I can do another video on that, but this is specifically about leaving. So there are a few border locations. Personally, I only have experience with the two at the Panama border. There's Paso Canoas and I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right, Sixaola, Guavito. That's on the Caribbean side. So typically I've gone down on the Pacific side, which is the Paso Canoas one. It's pretty busy, it's pretty hectic. Actually took some video the last time we were down there, and it can be very confusing. Not really sure where to park. There's a lot of trucks. So that one, but that's a very popular border that people go down to. I would say the border on the Caribbean side is a little bit more relaxed, not as many people. It's just a little less hectic. And I enjoyed that side too. And then there's the ones in Nicaragua. I personally don't have any experience on them, so I don't really want to discuss what an experience could be like there, because I don't have experience there. But I can let you know what you'll need for both locations. So some things that you'll definitely need is a valid passport. You want to make sure that it is not within 6 months of expiring, because if your passport, they could deny you entry. They need to know that your passport's not expiring within that 6 months. So always best to check, and also remember your passport. Sometimes you might be planning for a border run or going with friends, and you just might completely forget your passport. So just make sure you actually bring it, because you're not going to get anything done there without it. So when you get down to the border, I would just say in Panama, you're going to pay a Costa Rica exit tax, and that's an $8 tax. Let's see, the Panama at Paso Canoas, you you're on the Costa Rica side, but you have to go into an office, you pay the tax, they give you a receipt, and then you may leave Costa Rica. So then you go to the exit window of Costa Rica. They stamp you out. It's pretty easy. The next thing that you do is you would enter into Panama. So you walk over down to Paso Canoas. I'll post a picture of what it looks like. It's a pretty, it says Panama. You can't really miss it. So you have to go there, go into Panama, and they will stamp you in. So when you're entering Panama, it's pretty important that you also have you have a proof of exit for Panama and for Costa Rica. I like to always make sure I have my bases covered. So I've been to Panama multiple times. Sometimes I've gone, they haven't asked me a thing, and I've just gone right in. And sometimes I've even just walked over to the next window and gone right out at the same time. Sometimes they'll make you wait 3 hours. Technically, they could make you wait 3 days. Like I said, maybe not a typical experience, but everyone has different experiences. Some people, it's been very easy every time. Some people, maybe they ran into some problems. It really just depends on who you get. But by all means, it doesn't need to be a scary or confusing or stressful experience. But the best thing that you can do is just be really prepared. Okay, so you enter in Panama, and you want to make sure that you have your proof of exit. Sometimes they'll ask you what you do. They might ask you what you're doing in Panama, how long you're going to be there, and then, they're going to want to see your proof of exit. So usually, again, I'll buy a ticket and have it canceled. Or there's been times where there was one time I went down and I didn't even realize I needed a proof of exit from Panama. I actually had a plane ticket showing I was leaving Costa Rica, which was true. I had a trip planned to go back and visit family like a month later. So I just showed them, showing that, I'm leaving Costa Rica in 1 month. But it didn't work for them. They were like, no, we need to ship proof that you're leaving Panama. And I was like, but the exit's right there. Technically I could just walk right over and leave. I could just walk right back into Costa Rica, but it still was not accepted as, they basically wanted me to go buy a bus ticket, but I just went off to the side. I bought another plane ticket, said, okay, I'm flying from Panama to Costa Rica on this day, showed them the plane ticket, canceled it after all was said and done. And that worked. Another thing that they can ask for is proof of economic stability. So basically they want to make sure that, you're going to be able to take care of yourself when you enter into the country. So this is just another thing I've never been asked for, but I always bring, a bank statement, or just even a screenshot of it on my phone with me. Because, you either need to bring $500 cash, a bank statement, or a credit card that's valid with your name on it. Because they want to be able to see that you're going to be able to support yourself in the country. Again, I've never been asked for it, but I always come prepared each time with it because I'm not going to take those chances. Okay, so next I want to talk about how you get to Panama. Or I guess I've just been talking about Panama because that's what I have experience with. And if you're going to be living in South Pacific Costa Rica or even in Central Pacific Costa Rica, that's likely the border that you're going to be crossing. So how you would get there, there's definitely, you could take a taxi or a bus or a shuttle, or there's private bus lines or a car. So the last time we went, we rented a car. Other times that I've gone, I was just going into Panama. So I had to do a border run, but sometimes it's nice to just make a vacation out of it. So I've done the bus too, but you just have to worry. Like, we got stuck trying to come back because we missed the last bus coming back to the local area where we live, and bus can be a little tricky and it can be a really long day, but it's totally possible. A lot of times in maybe whatever town you'll be, there will be other expats who need to do border runs as well. So a lot of times it's nice if you can just organize with a group of people and either rent a car or maybe someone already has a car. That's usually probably the fastest way to kind of get down there, do what you need to do, and come back. Also, so if you're going, one big note, if you're going to be bringing a car, I do not recommend driving it over the border. Let's say if you're renting a car, you're not supposed to. So you drive down, you park, look for parking, and you just do the rest by foot. You don't actually need to drive your car over the border or do any of that. Same with local bus. If you took the bus down there, you would get dropped off and just do everything by foot as well. The only instance that may not happen is if you're taking a private bus, and again, that's kind of more if you're traveling from Costa Rica going into Panama and maybe continuing your journey, so I'm not really going to cover that, but I did touch a little bit about it in the blog. that you do want to still make sure all your documents in line and everything's good to go there. So yeah, those are border runs. They don't need to be super confusing. I know it's kind of seems a little scary for some people or just overwhelming because it's a lot of information and you want to make sure you do it right. You want to make sure you have everything. So it's just best that you're prepared. And I guess some tips and comments that I would have would just be to go early. We usually try to leave, I guess, by 7 in the morning. Just go early because it's Costa Rica. So maybe a road's closed or maybe there's a traffic accident or maybe everything's open and you get down there and everything's smooth sailing, there's no lines, but sometimes maybe you'll go there and there's just very long lines and it's very hectic and crazy and crowded. So it's just definitely best to go early, so that way if you do get held up or if they say no, you need to be out for more than 3 hours, or just if anything happens, then that way maybe if you wanted to plan to come back that same day, you still have the time to do that. I would recommend going with friends, going with some people that you know. People usually in the town that you live in will have to do it anyway, so it's kind of nice to plan something together and make a fun trip out of it. Usually, I think it's kind of a fun adventure. You go down, you just, do your passport things, and when you check into Panama, everything's really cheap down there, so a lot of people take this opportunity to go shopping and have some lunch, and then kind of by the time you're done with that, it's time to leave, so you can make a really fun day out of it. And also be mindful that there are police checkpoints. So there's usually a police checkpoint when you're, on your way to Panama. So just don't have anything in your car or that would be illegal. Or, I think they're also checking for someone who might be buying items in bulk down there and not paying taxes on them. But really, it's just be mindful of that. And also make sure that your passport's valid and that, your visa is not expired. It's going to be, you could pay a really big fine. So even if you do get stopped by the checkpoint, you just want to make sure, don't let your visa expire. Just don't do it. Just go down to Panama, renew your visa, don't let it expire. I would say just the best thing you can do is just be as prepared as possible. So I hope this was some good information and it was helpful, and maybe it'll help you on your trip down to Panama if you're going to be doing that. All right.